Our American born and our dying American.
Welcome to our group.
Welcome to Defender 7. Defender 7 has so much knowledge, and this ought to show it right here.
Do you or someone you know suffer from depression? If so, please contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Defender 7 Medical Tuesday night broadcast with your host, our Colonel, Kimberly Purvis. Before we get on with our show, I need to read a disclaimer for all those of you new just tuning in. The views and opinions expressed on Defender 7 radio show and Facebook page are those of the callers and or authors and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Defenders 7. Now, with that being said, welcome again. We have, as usual, another great show for you tonight. I hope we get a lot of participants to call in, show your support toward our Colonel. She works very hard on this stuff. Now, for those of you new just tuning in, we have a website. If you type in all lowercase letters, www.defenders, Roman numeral V as in Victor, with 2 small i's.com. And on our website, you will find that we have a store and a donate button. 100% of all sales from our store and any donations we bring in go back to our communities and throughout all 50 states in a time of need. We're not like other groups where they keep 90% and only give 10%. Ours is 100%. That's the only way that we're able to do what we do as a humanitarian patriot group. So please, by all means, purchase something or click that donate button. Every bit helps. So help us to help you and our communities. We can be reached on our national Facebook page by typing in the search box all capital letters, Defenders 7. That's Defenders, Roman numeral V as in Victor, with 2 large I's. Now, before you click on that join button, just know we expect all of our members and future members to participate throughout everything we do here in the Defender 7. If you get in and you feel it's not for you, you can always leave. No hard feelings. Another great thing that our Colonel and your host tonight, Kimberly Purvis, Colonel Kimberly Purvis, has done a bang-up job on our YouTube channel. So please scroll over there and click that subscribe button and get the word out about us. We really appreciate it. We can also be found on MeWe by clicking on organizations and scrolling down to Defender 7, Humanitarian American Patriot Group. Now, for all of the shows that we do here on Blog Talk, and for tonight especially, We enjoy it when you call in with your opinions. Everybody's opinion matters. We will not degrade you for it. And that number to call, area code 914-205-5773. Again, number to call to listen or participate, code 914-205-5773. Come on, people. Show your support. Give it up for our Colonel, Kimberly Purvis. And I am now turning the microphone over to your host, our Colonel, none other than Miss Kimberly Purvis.
Yay!
We also have Captain from Wisconsin, Lorna Munson, a.k.a. Slacker.
Slacker, Wisconsin. I couldn't get in on a yay because you had me on mute, doofus.
That's right, because we don't want to hear you.
How's
everybody doing tonight?
Oh my God!
It's been a rough day.
I know, hasn't it?
Yeah,
it really has
like
been a rough
one. The heat wipes you out. It's been 100 degrees again today, and I'm like, no. It's going to be 100 degrees every day until Friday.
Yeah, we're looking at 105.
We're cooling down at 77.
We're 95 right now.
Did you see in Texas? So they're telling everyone to turn their thermostats up to 80 degrees. Yeah, in Texas, in June.
Right.
And they already told them
I'm telling you, there's a lot of the stuff that I've read today, and I'm not just talking on social media, and I've also heard today. These Democrats are getting more ridiculous.
Oh, I know.
They're on there saying, CDC's now saying, oh, you got to make sure you vaccinate your kids. Get the fuck out of here. When are you going to stop this bullshit? Everybody knows better than taking them fucking vaccines.
Mm-hmm. I forgot where it's at. It was Massachusetts, Connecticut. I don't know which one of the states up there. The kids at the prom, they put black markers. They put numbers on their hands if they had no proof of their vaccine. And every third song they played, they had to raise their hand, and somebody would come around and write their number down and where they were at.
Yeah, see, it's a control thing. It's just getting more out of hand because the CDC always backpedals after they get caught lying.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing is, did they not learn from Auschwitz about tattooing people's hands because they didn't do something or who they were? I mean, come on. And now they got a bill. I don't know if it's a bill. If they're getting ready to, they got paperwork. They're going to be investigating Fauci. So
yeah, I saw something on that, but you know what? If that was the case, why didn't they do it already? Why didn't they do it already?
They just did it because they got the emails and they went through them, and I guess they got a lot of emails to go through and to see what they can investigate them for and charge them with.
Right, but I mean, it's just like that one post that you showed, about is this the White House?
Yeah. No. Did you see the ceiling?
My question is Biden really over at the summit?
Yes, he is, because you could see Boris Johnson, the Queen, and all of them. He really is out of the country.
That could be Photoshopped. That could have been photoshopped.
Well, true. I mean,
I'm just saying it's just
for,
pushing me. Me and my conspiracy theory. It's just pushing me to believe that is anything that we're actually seeing, is it real?
True. But see, the thing is, they had interviews with people from over there, and they asked him, and you could tell where they're from, and you could see I really think he's there, but I honestly think he's about to run.
Yeah, he looks like a scared puppy.
And the funny thing is, why is both Biden and Harris out of the country? You're not supposed to do that.
No.
You have to have either the president or the vice president has to be in America.
That's right.
So, but the picture that I showed is supposed to be the White House briefing room. They got 2 briefing rooms. Since when do they have that kind of no ceiling in the White House?
That's what I'm saying.
Because they're not in the White House.
No.
I thought it was kind of funny how, I don't know who did it, but somebody put the White House for sale on Zillow.
Yeah,
for $418. I went to Zillow, and that's where I got those pictures.
Right.
But it had all the information about the White House. I'm like, dude, that's some funny shit. We know it's not for sale, but
no.
It's kind of suspicious. Why someone would do that? But what was you gonna say? So yeah, they're not releasing the all of the information from the audit until the end of the month. Why? I don't know. But some of the stuff has leaked out. They're up to 17% of the ballots are missing.
Of course.
Over 250,000 ballots are missing. Okay.
Of course.
But if you take out those 250,000 supposedly missing ballots, when they did the audit, Trump won Arizona by 80,000 votes, minus that 250,000.
That's
you
the
see what I'm saying?
Point. Trump won, period.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he did. And people keep saying, oh, get over it. You can't decertify. Yes, you can. It's called a constitutional crisis. Yes, they can.
Yeah.
All they have to find is, they said one fraudulent ballot can throw off the whole entire election. They've got one whole state or one county.
Yeah. They actually got 2 states.
Well, Georgia's already doing theirs. Part of Michigan is doing theirs. Pennsylvania is going to be, there's 13 states. I don't know what the other 13 are. Probably New Hampshire, Colorado, Wisconsin. Well, the 6 swing states that there was, right? Then they're going to then there's Colorado, Nevada, New Hampshire, and I can't think of what other states that I know of that they said Trump won. But what they don't understand is these people are freaking the hell out. Right.
And I'll give you a perfect example of what this bullshit's leading to. All right. Since I moved here to South Carolina, I've been really good friends. She started out when I was, my one daughter was in kindergarten. She started out as the principal of the school. And she made it all the way up to superintendent and has gotten nothing but excellent reviews and made superintendent of the year the past 4 years running. Nobody has ever voted to go against her, okay? She just put out an emotional friggin' one of the hardest things that she could do. She resigned today. She was pushed out.
Why?
Because she was going against all the board and everybody in the council about this bullshit with this damn forcing kids to get vaccinations, forcing this mask mandate, and just because she spoke the truth Now all of a sudden they made it rough on her, and she resigned today.
Wow.
That sucks.
And to top it off, she is a doctor.
A doctor of education or a doctor?
She has her PhD, and she also holds her doctorate in education.
Oh, okay. I'm surprised it wasn't a critical race theory, too.
Kim, you know, you're supposed to separate, you know, parent and, you know, principal, whatnot.
Yeah.
You know, you're not supposed to get personally involved with them.
Yeah.
She was part of our family ever since I stepped in South Carolina, and she always has been.
Yeah.
She's always checking on my girls, you know, especially Savannah, because this was her last year of high school.
They're
So,
really
you know,
pushing their shit in these schools.
It is, and you know, I just don't get it. This is coming from, you know, somebody that holds two doctrines.
I know. I mean, they're making it harder for people to not want to actually turn on the government.
Right.
We're getting there.
I know.
Now, here's the thing. I saw, I was watching a radio show. I saw a video, and what's happening in Canada is supposed to have been happening in America. But Texas, Florida, threw a shit fit, and the mask mandate, the closing up of everything, and all this other, the vaccine crap. Florida and Texas are like, no, we're not having that shit. And because of that, then other states are trying to follow suit, and they just threw the whole entire thing right off kilter for them. So we've caused the whole plan to backfire. And here's the thing. People want to talk shit about America. Oh, you love your guns and this, that, and the other. No, we like our freedom. We have our own damn mind. We know how to look shit up, research our own shit. We don't need to be told what to do. We're not freaking petulant children. You know, and that's why people hate America, because we have a backbone, and we will stand up for our government.
And that's the problem right now, is that, you know, a lot of the sheep are still falling under, oh, we got to abide by Biden's administration. We got to do what we're told. That's the biggest control.
I didn't see them doing that for Trump.
Exactly. But that's the biggest control
I know.
if I ever seen it.
Oh, I know. Now, don't get me wrong. Some people, you know, a lot of people love America. If they didn't, they wouldn't be protesting in the streets of their own countries and stuff like that. But they don't have enough people in their own country to stand up to the government, because they allowed communism and socialism and tyranny and all that crap into their own country. And that's
it's because they gave up their the rights to carry a gun too.
Oh, sure.
I mean, just like the states, I know that they're easy to get, but just like the states, over there it's different. I mean, yeah, they can possibly get one, but not everybody's able to get it, even if it's illegal.
Yeah.
And that's where their fear is. You know, if we go against our government, they'll just shoot us on the street.
I saw something. Remember I told you I dreamt about, it was every single night I had the same dream where our military was decimated, totally destroyed, and the only thing that was left was patriots, and that was it, and veterans.
Right.
And we were standing up to the government, right? And then Biden said, I don't care how much ammo you use. Make sure you kill them all. No, this was a dream I had. I did not say he actually said this now. I don't want anyone to repeat that and say, no, okay. So, again, same dream, but it's become, it's like always. It's constant. There's very little changes. And now there's all of this shit going on. I saw this video. Oh, you might have seen it. It was a press conference where Biden said, I don't know who you think you are. Something like, I don't know who you think you are, but you're not going to stand up to Hellfire missiles and all this other crap. He said, you're not going to be able to fight the government off. Did you guys see that press conference? I'm not sure when he had it. And it kind of made me wonder about everything that's been coming up. Every time, I'm not a conspiracy. Well, no, it's not being a conspiracy theorist, but when it's all coming true, so.
Yeah,
but anywho,
that's what I'm saying. Everything that we've said for the past 2 years, Kim, has come true.
Yep.
And I just don't get why people are still playing in the dark and overlooking it.
Because, honestly, you know why? Because we're in America, and our government's not going to lie to us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, that can't be true. That can't be true. Government.
I knew that was BS. I knew that was BS the first day I stepped into boot camp.
My drill sergeant. No, my recruiter did not. Actually, he did not lie to me. I knew what to expect. My dad was in the military. My brother was. I mean, I have so many people. And a friend of mine was, and he prepared me.
Mine would not lie to me because, for one, he was my neighbor. And number two, at the time, I was going out with his sister.
Yeah.
So I kind of told him in such a good way that, don't lie to me, because if I get screwed, I'm coming back after you and your sister.
I didn't get lied to. I knew there was something. I did get lied to about one thing, but it wasn't my recruiter's fault. That was the military's fault, not my recruiter. But in a sense, I'm talking about like your senators, your congressmen, and all them. Them fuckers lie. As soon as you see them open their mouth, you know they're lying.
Yep.
I'm sorry. There's just not a damn thing that can come out of their mouth that's not a lie. So, but we shall see. And the one last thing before we get started, because I know I'm not going to have enough. I'm not going to be 2 hours. That new guy that's taken over for Israel. Okay, there's a couple of things that I did not know about, and I found out about it. They're planning on having this massive parade in Israel. And they said the Palestinians are planning on, I don't know what they're going to do, but they're not happy about it. They're not happy at all. So the last however many long they've been fighting, they said be prepared because they're going to take vengeance out on Israel by having that parade. So I don't know it's like a freedom parade or something. I don't know. They finally got their government situated, but yeah, they said be prepared. So we'll see. But for tonight, I want to talk about the different types of shock. I know we've gone over this before, but we don't always have the same listeners, and you always learn something new. So
I'm shocked.
I know I'm shocked. Oh, so actually, then there's 6 types of shock. There's emotionally, or they call it I'm shook. I just shook. So shock is a life-threatening medical condition, and it's a medical emergency. If shock is expected, call 911 or get to an emergency department as fast as you can. So the main symptom of shock is low blood pressure. There's other symptoms that include rapid, shallow breathing, cold, clammy skin, rapid, weak pulse, dizziness, fainting, or weakness. And pretty much all of these symptoms kind of go all with each type of shock that there is. And there are several types of shock. There's septic shock, which is caused by bacteria, anaphylactic shock, and that's a hypersensitivity or an allergic reaction to medications, food, the environment. I mean, you can be allergic to pretty much anything and everything nowadays. Cardiogenic shock from heart damage. Hypovolemic shock is from fluid or blood loss, and neurogenic shock is from spinal cord trauma. And there's different types of besides spinal cord damage. I mean, it could be from anything, actually. So treatment for shock depends on the cause. And there's different tests to determine what kind of shock you have and how severe it is. Usually IV fluids are administered in addition to medication to raise blood pressure. Septic shock is treated with antibiotics and with fluids. Anaphylactic shock is treated with Benadryl and epinephrine and steroid medications like Solumedrol. And cardiogenic shock is treated by identifying and treating the underlying cause. Hypovolemic shock is treated with fluid. In minor cases, it's with the IV fluids. And severe, it will be treated by blood transfusion. And neurogenic shock is the most difficult to treat as a spinal cord damage is often irreversible. So basically, it's immobilization, anti-inflammatories, and surgery to treat for the main treatments. Now, like I was saying about the neurogenic shock, you can bruise the spinal cord. You can pinch it. It can be severed. And see, now if it's severed, forget it. That's it. You're done. There's no, pretty much your brain and spinal cord, the only two things you can't transplant. I'm sorry. It just doesn't work that way. Although we do need a few brain transplants for some people, but, you know. But anywho, so you can bruise your spinal cord. And you can pinch it. Your vertebrae can pinch your spinal cord. And I fell off a tower about 20 feet when I was in the military. And when I hit, yes, I did the tuck and roll. But it's that first initial shock when I hit, and I was in my boots, so you really can't bend your feet. You know what I'm saying? You know how when you squat down, you'll just be on your toes? It's kind of hard to do that in combat boots. But I actually felt the shock of my spine. And it went from my tailbone all the way to the very top of my my spine, right into my head. And so you can have other issues from that as well. Like I said, it depends on how the severity of your accident. So shock prevention includes learning ways to prevent heart disease, injuries, dehydration, and other causes of shock. I already went over the what is shock. Medical shock is a medical emergency and can lead to other conditions, such as lack of oxygen to the body's tissues, hypoxia, heart attack, organ damage, and it requires immediate treatment, and symptoms can get worse very fast. So we went over the 5 tops. So the first one, so I know I'm going to be repeating some of this information, so just go with the flow. So septic shock, like I said, is from bacteria multiplying in the blood, and then it releases toxins. So the common cause is pneumonia, UTIs, cellulitis, abdominal infections, such as a ruptured appendix, meningitis. Now, not only that type of septic shock, you could also have a blood infection. You can have an infection that goes from your body into your bloodstream and runs rampant throughout your body. Anaphylactic shock, like I said, it's the allergies. Like I said, also insect stings. So the most common to medication is usually penicillin. A lot of people, like myself, for some reason, I'm now allergic to morphine. Just out of the blue, I can no longer take morphine at all, or it will kill me. A lot of people are allergic for the food allergies, aside from celiac, because celiac does have a wide range of food that you cannot eat because of the gluten. But some people are allergic to nuts, like peanut butter or peanuts. Are you allergic, Bobby? Is it you that's allergic to strawberries, or is it somebody else?
Yeah, I used to be.
Are you okay? How long did you go before you could ever eat a strawberry again?
Oh shoot! When I first did it, when I ate one and found out, it was like in the 90s, and I didn't touch one until about 3 years ago. See, I had the same thing with shrimp. When I found out that I was allergic to iodine and I ate shrimp, that was it. That was like, nope. I went almost 15 years, and I desensitized my body to the shrimp. Come to find out, it's not actually the shellfish that I'm allergic, it's the iodine. See, you could have a shellfish allergy and an iodine allergy. You could have one or the other. So, like I said, I have to worry about a lot of the foods I eat because there's iodine in everything. I'm trying to think of other fruits because some people are, like you said, strawberries. I'm trying to think. I can't think of any other real fruit that anyone's allergic to.
Pineapple.
Pineapple? Oh, okay.
And watermelon.
Watermelon? Oh, wow, that sucks.
Peaches. I know somebody that was allergic to peaches.
Oh, wow, okay.
The
I mean, I'm not saying it's a possibility.
Huh? Peaches, the fuzz on them. In the juice. Yeah.
Yeah, I've just never heard of any of people being allergic to other types of fruit besides like strawberries and I can't remember which area it was, but a couple of berries.
Strawberries are very common to be allergic to.
Yeah.
And raspberries, berries are more common than the other fruit.
Some people are actually allergic to chocolate. God help their soul. My ex-husband's oldest sister went her whole entire life without eating chocolate. Come to find out, it was not chocolate she was allergic to. It was caffeine. And she was like, she was a size 4, a 4, okay? Her whole life. I mean, it's just little thing. As soon as she ate chocolate, that was her downfall because she gained like 80 pounds. I think she ate her weight in chocolate. But I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the caffeine or there was something else. Maybe her mother didn't want her eating it. I don't know. So anyway, cardiogenic shock happens when the heart is damaged and is unable to supply sufficient blood to the body. And this could be the end result of a heart attack or congestive heart failure. Hypovolemic shock is caused by severe blood and fluid loss, such as from a traumatic body injury, and it makes the heart unable to pump enough blood into the body, or severe anemia, where there's not enough blood to carry oxygen throughout the body. Now, as far as the blood loss, it doesn't have to be an open wound. You could be bleeding internally and still have blood loss that way. Neurogenic shock is caused, like I said, by spinal cord injury, usually the result of a traumatic accident or injury.
No.
Most of the time, that would be your athletes, unfortunately, and a lot of military. Okay, let's see.
Get a water.
So some of the main causes of shock, heart conditions, heavy internal or external bleeding, such as from a serious injury or rupture of a blood vessel or artery, dehydration, especially when severe or related to heat loss, infection, severe anaphylactic reaction, spinal injuries, burns, and persistent vomiting or diarrhea. I hope I don't repeat the same. Okay, so this is the symptoms of, sorry. I tell you, my internet is still glitchy. This has been 3 days now. Okay, so low blood pressure and a rapid heart rate are the key signs of shock. You could have the rapid shallow breathing, cold clammy skin, rapid weak pulse, dizziness or fainting, and weakness. Depending on the type of shock, the following symptoms may also be observed. Eyes appear to like a blank stare. Anxiety or agitation, seizures, confusion, unresponsiveness, low or no urine output, bluish lips and fingernails, sweating, and chest pain. So a lot of the types of shock will have almost the same symptoms, plus a few others, depending on you. So what is the treatment for shock? Depending on the type of shock, treatments differ. In general, fluid resuscitation, which is giving a large amount of fluid to raise your blood pressure quickly, with an IV in the ambulance or the emergency room, is the first-line treatment for all types of shock. The doctor will also administer normally epinephrine, norepinephrine, or dopamine to the fluids to raise the person's blood pressure, to make sure that you have plenty of blood flow to your vital organs. There's also x-rays, blood tests, EKGs, and that'll determine the underlying cause and uncover the severity of the patient's illness. With septic shock, if you're treated with prompt administration of antibiotics, depending on the source and the underlying infection, these patients are often dehydrated and require large amounts of fluids to increase and maintain their blood pressure. Anaphylactic, like I said, is treated with Benadryl, steroid medications, methylprednisone, and sometimes an H2 blocker medication like famotidine, Pepcid, well, that's the same thing, or cimetidine. Cardiogenic shock is treated by identifying and treating the underlying cause. A patient with a heart attack may require a surgical procedure. They may need a heart cath to unblock an artery. Sometimes, depending on the severity of that, they may have a stent put in afterwards. A patient with congestive heart failure may need medications to support and increase the force of the heart beat. In severe or prolonged cases, a heart transplant may be the only treatment for them.
Well, I've got a water here, but it's not cold, just in case you get thirsty.
Hypovolemic shock is treated with fluids, saline in minor cases, like I said, but many require multiple blood transfusions in severe cases. The underlying cause of the bleeding must also be identified and corrected, because you could bleed out. A ruptured spleen, the liver, or you can even your intestines. You can have internal bleeding that way too. Neurogenic shock is the most difficult to treat. Damage to the spinal cord is often irreversible. Like I said, this is repeating. But the anti-inflammatories, such as steroids, rest, and surgery may be a way to treat it. So if you're at home, or actually it doesn't matter where you're at, call 911 for immediate medical attention at any time a person has symptoms of shock. Don't wait for symptoms to get worse before calling for help. I know a lot of people do that. Oh, just give me a few minutes. No, call now. Especially if you're the person, don't be a hardhead. Call 911. Stay with the person until help arrives. And if possible, stay on the line with the dispatcher because they may have specific instructions for you. And while you wait for help to be on the way, check the person, do your ABCs, airway, breathing, and circulation. Administer CPR if you're trained. If the person is breathing on their own, continue to check their breathing every 2 minutes until help arrives. Do not, under any circumstances, move a person who has a known or suspected spinal injury unless you're in imminent danger. Like if they're in a car and it's about to explode, if it's on fire, you have to get them out, as soon as possible. Have the person lie down on his or her back with the feet elevated above the head. It keeps to increase the blood flow to vital organs. And don't raise the head, just in case also because of a spinal cord injury. Keep the person warm and comfortable. Loosen any tight clothing and cover them with a blanket. When I first got into nursing, I always wondered, why would you cover them up if it's hot? But it's to prevent shock. Do not give fluids by mouth, even if they complain they're thirsty. There's a risk of choking in the event of sudden loss of consciousness. And give appropriate first aid for any injuries. And direct pressure should be applied to any wounds that are bleeding significantly. Okay, dirty. So the outlook for shock, it all depends on which one you have. But generally, hypovolemic shock and anaphylactic shock respond well to medical treatment if it's initiated early enough. Septic shock is a serious condition with a mortality rate of 24 to 50%, according to some estimates. That's if you don't treat it. The sooner the infection is treated and the fluids are administered, the greater the chances of success. Hospitals are now developing and utilizing specific protocols to identify and aggressively treat septic shock patients. And cardiogenic shock has a poor prognosis with only a third of patients surviving because this type of shock results from injury or dysfunction of the heart, and it's often difficult to treat and overcome. So, but that doesn't mean that, you still, as long as you stay positive, good prognosis when you get to the doctor. Spinal shock also has a very poor prognosis because the spinal cord mediates so many important bodily functions. There are currently very few effective treatments, but medical research is making advances in the treatment of spinal injuries. So that is it for that one. Any questions or anything about it so far? No? Let me get to my other.
No.
No,
sorry.
That's okay. Let me see. I gotta make this bigger so I can see it. I'm blind. Come on. I hate this. I got one of those computers that all you gotta do is touch it and everything expands or it shrinks. And then I can't read.
You old too.
Huh? Shut up. I heard that. Let's see. This one's too. Never mind. I shouldn't even look at that one. Okay. So, I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to keep repeating all the same information over and over again. So, in the first description of shock, the main focus was on traumatic hemorrhage shock. But I went over this one too. Sorry. Hypovolemic shock is divided into 4 subcategories and distributive shock into 3. Obstructive shock has been given a category of its own. And although the three nomenclature and classifications is schematic and there's some way of overlapping between the main groups, these four main groups could be basically assigned to four organ systems. And they got this cool little, this on this picture. Lorna, you'd love it. It's a nice picture. It breaks it down into categories.
Yahoo!
Like a little wheel. When I do the PowerPoint, which I was working on, I'll include this picture. It's pretty cool. So there's the blood and fluids compartment, vascular system, the heart and circulatory system. And that was the four subcategories of the hypovolemic shock. And let's see, because of the difficulty of carrying out prospective randomized studies in shock patients, the recommendations for treatment are based largely on guidelines and registry studies. So if available, that's for doctors. Hold on. Okay, so the hypovolemic shock is divided into four subtypes. Hemorrhage shock is resulting from acute hemorrhage without major soft tissue damage or soft tissue injury. Traumatic hemorrhage shock is resulting from acute hemorrhage with soft tissue injury and, in addition, release of immune system activators. Hypovolemic shock, in the narrower sense, resulting from a critical reduction in circulating plasma volume without acute hemorrhage. And then traumatic hypovolemic shock results from a critical reduction in circulating plasma volume without acute hemorrhage due to the soft tissue injury and release of immune system mediators. Let's see, I already went over all this. The different types. Wow, this one looks more like a doctor's thing on all the types of shock. Well, shit, that's all I got. All these other articles are all the same. I hate running out of information.
Hey, what about allergic reactions to things like sumac and poison ivy and what are some of the other plants? What about? I was allergic to poison ivy as a kid, and I got it really bad one time. I mean, I blew up. They had to give me a shot. I'm assuming it must have, I don't know what it was. But, I mean, I know people that just can walk by poison ivy, and if the wind's blowing in the wrong direction, they can get it.
Okay, well, see, yes, people are allergic to those. I've never personally seen anyone go into anaphylactic shock from it, and that's usually a localized reaction. Like with poison ivy, if you scratch that and you touch some other part of your body, it's going to spread to there. Okay. Well, the same thing with poison sumac, poison oak, and all that cool stuff. But usually, besides the red rash, the area can be inflamed, and sometimes it gets really hard, like when it swells up like a welt. That's what happens to me with poison oak. Wherever it touches, my arm, my leg, wherever, that one area is really, I mean, it's just like it'll swell up like a golf ball, depending on how much skin touched it. I'm not saying you can't go into anaphylactic shock, but there's always that possibility, you know.
I guess wouldn't it depend on what kind of allergic reaction you have? Is it just you know, I mean, the skin rash, or are you actually allergic to it? I also know some people that got it internally, like in their throat and stuff. Yeah, that was pretty bad. The person I knew that had it, their throat swelled up. They, I don't think it was anaphylactic shock, but again, those can be dangerous, I guess, situations as well.
Well, yeah. Now, in that case, if somehow, let's just say they mistake it, they got poison ivy, and they mistook it for a different plant that you can eat. Okay, whatever. And they eat it, and they're allergic to it. Of course, their throat can possibly swell because of the immediate inflammation to that immediate area. So yeah, they would have a hard time breathing. Also, once it hits the stomach, it's no different than, like for me, whenever I eat, God forbid, if I eat gluten, my abdomen swells and I get really sick. But that's more along the lines of an allergic reaction, not anaphylactic shock itself. Because some people
I'm just thinking of, it just popped into my head. You get some odd things, and you said, does anybody have any questions?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah. I know it's not exactly along those lines, but it is still allergic reaction, even if you're not getting the anaphylactic shock.
True. And that's what I've always been told. That's just an allergic localized reaction. Yeah, I know that, but you're still allergic to it. And that's why people need to really pay attention to what they shouldn't be around. I'm only getting pictures. I hate this. I'm looking for articles and stuff, and they're just giving me pictures.
Well, I'm lucky. That. The only thing I am allergic to is poison ivy, although I haven't had it since I was a kid. I think I cured myself of it when I took a bath in it in order to try and avoid a test. Unfortunately, God knew what I was doing. I still had to take the test, and then the following day when they had the fair, it swelled up like a balloon and had to go get a shot, and I didn't get to go to the fair. So karma definitely is a bitch.
Now, there is one thing, though. A lot of people that are allergic to bee stings actually can go into anaphylactic shock.
I'm allergic to bees.
Do you have to carry an EpiPen?
I don't, but I'm supposed to.
Why am I not surprised?
I just got stung when I went up to Dairyland, and I had to run into town because I didn't have no Benadryl with me, and I took 4 of them suckers, and I'm still alive.
Good. Yeah, we don't want you dead.
But I almost died when I was little. I don't remember any of it. I don't know how old I was or nothing, just stories. I got pancake hives all over my belly. They packed me in ice, and all I wanted was my teeth out.
Yeah, if I get stung with a hornet or a wasp, mine's just a localized reaction. Very fortunate to not have to worry. I still carry Benadryl. Especially when I go out.
Tim. You mentioned about being allergic to bees. If you are allergic to bees, are you automatically allergic to hornets and wasps as well?
Yep. I'm allergic to all of them, I believe. I don't know. I haven't really
not always.
I haven't really tested the system.
Yeah, we don't want to push the envelope. No, not always. Not always. But a lot of people are. I have more of the localized. When I got stung by a hornet, and my whole arm was red, and it looked like someone had stuffed a grapefruit in my. That's how round and swollen it was where I got stung, and that was it. That's what I got from it. Now, I'm not going to push it and get stung again, but shit happens.
Right. No, I'm just curious.
Let me look something up really quick. I'm going to, hold on. What are... All right, I'm going to check something out here because I didn't even think about it. So these, I just looked up what are some of the most common allergies that people have. And like I said, these can go from a local reaction to, if it's on the skin, to GI or, things like that. So allergies are abnormal immune system reactions to things that are typically harmless to most people. But when a person is allergic to something, the immune system mistakenly believes the substance is harming the body. So substances that cause allergic reactions, some foods, dust, plant pollen, or medicines, those are called allergens. And up to 50 million Americans, including millions of kids, have some type of allergy. And about 2 million kids miss school each day or each year. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So allergies happen when the immune system and overreacts to an allergen, treating it as an invader, trying to fight it off. So this causes symptoms that can range from annoying to serious, even life-threatening. So in an attempt to protect the body, the immune system makes antibodies called immunoglobulin, the IgE. The antibodies then cause certain cells to release chemicals, including histamine, into the bloodstream to defend against the allergen invader. That's why it's called antihistamine, like Benadryl. It's against the histamine, or they call it a histamine blocker. That's why. So in the release of these chemicals that cause the allergic reactions can affect the eyes, nose, throat, lungs, and skin, and your GI tract. And sometimes the first time that you get exposed to it, your body may not react to it the first time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if it's just a little bit of a whatever, like if it's dust mites, and then, some way you've been free from dust mites around, and then all of a sudden, boom, too many, and then your body can react to that. So not all allergic reactions happen the very first time. Like I said, so some allergies are seasonal and happen only at certain times of the year, like pollen, and like Texas with that freaking green pollen shit that comes from Fort Hood and goes all the way down to San Antonio to Fort Sam. I swear to God, I know we have it everywhere else, but that's how I found out I was allergic to it. It was awful. My eyes would swell shut. I couldn't breathe, and it would make you miserable. Others can happen anytime that someone comes in contact with an allergen. So when a person with a food allergy eats that particular food, or someone who's allergic to dust is exposed to them, I didn't realize that. They could still have an allergic reaction. A lot of food allergies, you could get sick by cross-contamination. Go to a buffet. Just say you go to a buffet, right? And at the time, I was like the whole shellfish allergy, but really it was the iodine. If I go to a buffet, right, and you got shrimp, lobster, crab, and all that crap sitting right next to, just say, chicken or whatever, if somebody used the tongs to pick up the shrimp or the shellfish and used it and the food next to it, that's cross-contamination. And if you're the very next person, like it's happened to me. I was like, yeah, and that's why I make sure that I just don't get food. If I'm allergic to something, I'll make sure I don't touch anything that's around it because I really don't look forward to being sick. And that's why I always carry Benadryl, because of that. Another one is cat dander and dog dander that people are allergic to.
My brother and my nephew are very allergic. That's why I have to be careful. When you have to have a cat, so when I go from my camper into the house, I have to be extremely careful with if I'm wearing clothes, the clothes I'm wearing, and how I go in there.
Yeah, and that's like, it's not only the dander. You could be allergic to cat hair or dog hair. So if you have pets, and you might have pet hair on your pants, right? And you go to someone else's house and sit on their couch, and the pet hair gets on their couch and they don't know it, they can have a reaction to it. So the tendency to develop allergies is often hereditary, which means you can pass it down from parents to their kids and so on. But here's the thing. Just because you're allergic to it, it doesn't always mean your kids will. Except.
Hey, I have a question.
Yeah.
So everybody knows Benadryl, but what's another antihistamine very common that we use in the medical field?
Don't ask me.
I mean, if you didn't have Benadryl, what could you take in an emergency?
Caffeine?
Well, besides the.
You ever hear of Pepsid AC? You guys heard of Pepsid for heartburn? It's called famotidine. And famotidine, Benadryl is an H1 blocker. It blocks the H1 histamine receptor, and famotidine is an H2 blocker. It blocks the H2 histamine receptor. So if you got a pretty decent allergy going on, sometimes we'll combine Benadryl with the Pepsid with the famotidine to help reduce that antihistamine that histamine response from the body that's causing most of the inflammation and swelling in the hives or the itching. So
is that a liquid or is that a pill?
Well, they have a pill and they also have a liquid form, but Pepsid AC is generally used for antacid. It's like heartburn.
Yeah, go to the pharmacy, to the heartburn section.
Yeah, Pepsid. It's for heartburn. It's also called famotidine, and I actually use that a lot for my pregnant females when they have morning sickness. It tends to help them out a lot.
Now, the difference. I know, like some people, when you get Benadryl, it knocks them out.
Yep.
Does the Pepsid do that? Because I've never taken Pepsid.
No, it's non-drowsy.
Or famotidine. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's non-drowsy. You see, Benadryl is an older antihistamine. It's like one of the oldest ones, and so it has more side effects. Where the Pepsid is a more modern antihistamine, but it only affects the H2 receptor, so it doesn't completely, neutralize the histamine. So it's just a partial blocker. Yeah, but when you combine the two together, that's the next step would be epinephrine.
Yeah, because it's like people that take Compazine for their stomach. Now they give you Zofran. I used to have to take Compazine for my stomach all the time. And they're like, and this is what I would always get. Oh, we don't like giving Compazine out anymore, and we'll give you Zofran.
Yeah, it's an older medicine.
I don't care.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't care. As long as it works, I don't care.
But normally Zofran we give for like nausea or vomiting. Not for like I don't know, indigestion or heartburn or acid reflux.
Oh, no.
Zofran's normally
because I've got celiac.
It's given for nausea or vomiting. Yeah, kind of like promethazine.
Oh no, that's what I was talking about. Yeah.
I think maybe Compazine may have been done away with for promethazine. I'm not sure, but we'll use Phenergan, which is also called promethazine now.
Yeah, Phenergan's given a lot.
Yeah.
I get a lot. I get a lifetime supply of Zofran now because of my celiac. I don't take it every day. But, yeah, it's a lifesaver when you can't eat. The smell of food just makes me sick sometimes, and I'll just take one. It's like, whatever.
Zofran and promethazine both can cause a chronic cough, so you got to be careful with that.
Ooh.
Because it causes bronchospasm.
I might take it 5 times in a month now, if I'm lucky. I don't have to take it that often. I usually wait to the very last minute for that because I really hate taking medications, except my blood pressure medicine, and I will always take that. So,
hey,
as
what,
far as the,
you know when?
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
You have seniority.
Oh, no. No, I was just talking about as far as the hereditary allergies and things. I'm not allergic to penicillin, but my daughter is. She's highly allergic to penicillin, C-chlor, and all that stuff. And so now her daughter, who's 8 months old now, she just got an ear infection. They gave her penicillin. The first dose they gave her, she started vomiting. And so I said, well, chances are she's probably allergic to it. The pediatrician said, no, that's not true. So they said, just because mom's allergic doesn't mean, I'm like, okay. So she gave it to her for 3 or 4 days, and every time she'd get it, she'd puke. Every time. Come to find out, she's allergic to penicillin also. So
well, you know, you gotta define the difference between an allergy and a side effect of the medication too, because there is a difference.
True. Oh, I know.
And sometimes,
I know,
sometimes doctors, when they really need to give a specific medication, they will, whether you're allergic to it or not, they will desensitize you to it just to give you that medication. So you can be desensitized. Yeah. So also the other thing I want to point out with penicillin allergies, I want to make you guys understand this. A lot of people believe that they're allergic to penicillin falsely, because there's an issue that's come up, and that we found out over the years. People who have gotten Epstein-Barr virus, also known as mono, they had a throat infection, a pharyngitis, or a tonsillitis, and so the normal FDA-approved treatment for it, if it's bacterial, is going to be penicillin. So whether you come into the doctor's office, you got a sore throat, swollen tonsils, they don't have the ability to test and determine whether it's bacterial or viral, so they're just going to throw penicillin at you. Well, a lot of people developed a rash after taking the penicillin when they had the Epstein-Barr virus or mono, and were told that they were allergic to penicillin because of that rash. Truth is, they're not allergic to penicillin. That's just a reaction that the virus, it's a viral exanthem, created when it crosses with the penicillin. So knowing whether you have a viral tonsillitis versus a bacterial tonsillitis is really going to help determine your treatment. And if you treat a person with penicillin that has a tonsillitis and they come in with the rash, don't just assume that they have an allergy to it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So a lot of people think they're allergic to penicillin. They're not.
Is amoxicillin in the same? Is amoxicillin in the same family as penicillin, or is it something different?
It's in the same family. Yes, ma'am. Anything that says psyllin in it, amoxicillin, ampicillin, penicillin, there's different psyllins. Anything that says psyllin on it is a derivative of penicillin. Penicillin would be the oldest one, right? It came from that fungus or whatever, from the
the bread fungus.
You were talking about that guy who created it last week, I think. Can't remember.
Yeah, we went over over who made up the vaccines and the medications. Yeah.
Yeah, a long time. But yeah, amoxicillin is penicillin. Now the thing is when you have a penicillin allergy, there's a cross reactivity to the cephalosporins. So if you're allergic to penicillin, you can't get Keflex, you can't get cephalexin, you can't get Rocephin, you can't get any of the penicillins or any of the cephalexins or the. So what
kind of antibiotics do they give people then if they can't give them the penicillins? I mean, I know there are others. like
there's a
MRSA ones and stuff.
lincomycin, there's an azithromycin. You can give them the macrolides. You can give them, the levaquins and the fluoroquinolones. So there are other classes of antibiotics can be given. Most of the time, the doctors will always just, whenever you have a penicillin allergy, no matter what it is, they'll throw a Z-Pack at you, which would be azithromycin, and that's considered a macrolide.
So the penicillins, in that family and azithromycin, those are the two most commonly used, correct?
Well, a lot of times we'll use cephalexin, which used to be called Keflex. That was the brand name. Yeah. We still use the brand name even though it's not available in the U.S., but the generic version is cephalexin. So a lot of times we'll give that to kids, Keflex. We'll give it to adults. A lot of times we'll use clindamycin, erythromycin, and the azithromycins. Those are the macrolides. And then the fluoroquinolones you're talking about, like levaquin and things like that. So and then there's IV antibiotics too, which they have a whole different nomenclature and a bunch of different names.
Oh yeah.
But for the most part,
I've only had penicillin, amoxicillin. I think once I had azithromycin because, but I've only ever had the penicillin family ones for the most part. Because I'm assuming that's really the first one they prefer to go to. Is that? Because a lot, even my family, I noticed, the penicillin family seems to be the primary one they prescribe if people aren't allergic.
Well, it depends on what they're treating. It depends on what we're treating. Yeah. If we're treating upper respiratory, like in the tonsils or in the sinuses, usually the penicillin family's way to go. I like using Augmentin for sinusitis because it has two different antibiotics and it's got amoxicillin and it's got clavulanic acid in it. So Augmentin is good for the sinus. I like to use just penicillin, PenVK for dental issues. So anything above from the neck up would be, in my mind, in the penicillin family. If it's in the chest, in the lungs, then it's usually a macrolide like a azithromycin, something like that. If it's a skin infection, it's usually like the clindamycin or the cephalexin Keflex. If it's in the kidneys or the GI, ciprofloxacin is one of the go-to. And if it's in the urinary tract, we're talking Bactrim or we're talking maybe even Flagyl, depending. So it just depends on the organ system affected. Yeah, it just depends on the organ system affected.
Yeah, and then like you were talking about the different types, another one is like the vancomycin, but that one's only IV, right? Because they got to do the
That's only IV,
and all that.
Yeah, it's only IV, and there is some, and then there's also methicillin. That's another one, but there's also the methicillin-resistant, staph. So then they have to go to vanco. Yeah. But there's vancomycin. There's also lincomycin, which can be injected, through a syringe. Vanco is generally IV. But yeah, you can do an IM with lincomycin. So there's different antibiotics and different uses. But penicillin, like I said, for the most part, not a lot of doctors prescribe straight up penicillin anymore. A lot of times for kids, it's going to be amoxicillin. For adults, you're going to get the Augmentin, and then some old doctors who continue for dental issues prescribe what they call PenVK. If you have if you have a syphilis, for example, then they're going to hit you up with something called Bicillin, but they're going to hit you up with 1 million units of it. It's a painful shot to get. So Bicillin is also still out there, and that's still what's prescribed for like syphilis infections and stuff. But medicine's kind of fascinating with all these different antibiotics and their uses. People think they can just, like, here in Texas, they'll just run over to Mexico and you don't need a prescription and they'll just grab all kinds of antibiotics. Problem we're seeing is there's a lot of now antibiotic resistant organisms because of it.
Yes.
Because, first of all,
I remember as a kid, you must take I don't care if you're feeling good. You must take all of your antibiotics, the full 10 days or whatever it was, or you're going to create superbugs. And I remember,
you know, call my mom. I call her bubonic Bonnie because she's going to be the next plague that comes around. I swear to God, the woman sneezes. Oh, I got to get my Z-Pack. For what, woman? Let your body run its course, okay?
Yeah.
And the problem is, a lot of doctors, not a lot, some doctors just hate to hear their patients complain. Here, take your Z-Pack and go away. And
I don't think they're doing that as much as they used to, though.
Yeah,
no, I think they've cut back on that.
I think the newer generation of the doctor, I'd say within the past 15 or 20 years, they're they will try to treat the patient, because the patient will usually come in and know what they want and know what's wrong with them, and they'll try to make their patient happy a little bit, but we're starting to educate them a little bit, and when you educate the patient, they seem a little bit more understanding. Doctors used to just throw whatever the patient wanted, so that patient would come back and they continue making money from that patient.
Yeah.
But then but these
that's
days
why we have. But that's why we have like the methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, which is MRSA.
MRSA, don't forget MRSA.
That's why, and MRSA.
Yeah, vancomycin.
See, that's the problem. That's the reason why. It's because normally they start at the bottom. I mean, at least it's the way it's. I mean, I don't know the way the VA does it, but they'll start at the bottom tier of antibiotics, and if that doesn't work, then they'll go to the next one because they want your body to fight it off without going to the biggest, because eventually nothing's going to work.
Right.
On anything. So
my mom, I mean, we had to have like a fever of 104 type of thing, and natural stuff wouldn't work before she even took us to the doctor or the emergency room, and then, because we very, very rarely had to go to the doctor. We were very rarely sick. If we got sick, it was sleep, hot tea, chicken soup, lots of orange juice and water, yeah. I mean, you had to be really, really ill to go to the doctors because, you didn't want to go to the doctors. Yeah.
And, I applaud your mom for that because she's allowing your immune system to develop and get strong. And so what antibiotics do in modern medicine all it does is shorten the duration of some of the illness and make it a little more comfortable for people. But if you just allow your body to just go through the natural process, it will develop, immunity against some of these illnesses. And that's why every time kids go to school and they come home sick in the fall with their colds and runny noses and fevers and the flus, every single time they get sick, their immune system's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. But if you try to suppress that...
Well, those parents that get antibiotics.
Well, like I said, antibiotics are only to shorten the duration of the illness in many cases and to prevent septic shock like she was talking about earlier.
Right.
But, for the most part, the body has its own natural defenses. Give it a chance. Most UTIs, most urinary tract infections will cure themselves, but it takes longer and it's uncomfortable.
Cranberry juice
works for some people. Well, cranberry juice works for some people, but for other people it causes kidney stones. So, got to be careful.
Well, there's some other natural things that you can use, but I don't like taking prescribed medication. I don't even like really taking over-the-counter medication unless it's absolutely necessary. I have a very good immune system, and so does my family for the most part, because when we were young, for whatever reason, whether it was monetary, access, or whatever, you didn't go to the doctor the way they do today.
No.
Well,
I mean, like when my kids were growing up, I didn't give them Tylenol until their temp got over 100. Once they hit 100, I'm like, okay, we're going to watch it. Take a lukewarm bath, just rest, and try giving them juices and fluids and stuff. But once it hit 101.5, that's when I'm like, okay, we'll give you Tylenol.
Right.
Because I run a very low temp.
Well, you know, the thing about temperatures, too, raising the body's core temperature actually helps to kill bacteria, and it also helps to kill viruses, too, because it's the heat that it denatures the protein and the bacteria and the viruses, which kind of kills them. So that's a good sign to have a temperature.
Is it feed a cold, starve a fever, or
feed a cold,
something like that?
Feed a fever.
Right.
It's feed a fever, starve a cold.
Right.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know it was one way or the other.
Like if I know I'm getting a sinus
I could be wrong. I've got to Google that crap.
Okay. Hold on a second. Like the only time I will ever go to get antibiotics is if it starts as a sinus infection, it'll go in. Sometimes it ends up in my throat. And then I'll end up with an upper respiratory infection. I'm like, I'm still going to fight this at home. I do the cough medicine and whatever. It's not until it gets way down in my lungs and I'm like, okay, I'm done. Then I'll get antibiotics. Because that's what happened when I got COVID. I was sick for a week and a half before, but it was the temp. When my temp got to 103.7, I'm like, okay, no, I've got to call it quits. I can't lower it. So then they found out I had blood clots, and my O2
that's part of the COVID too. That blood clot can be part of the COVID too.
Yeah, that's
for my kids with COVID. You know, my suspicion the threshold is 100.4 on their temperature. 100.4. If I see a kid coming in with upper respiratory, sore throat, headache, 100.4, it's COVID. That's the same thing for the adults, and that was the threshold the CDC recommended too for adults. You know, don't come to the doctor unless you have at least 100.4 temperature.
Oh,
my concern
is a fever.
Yeah, my concern. I take a kid to the hospital at 102.5.
Yeah.
And because at 104 to 105, you start to denature the proteins in the brain and cause brain damage, or it can start triggering febrile seizures. And once you have a febrile seizure, even a low-grade temperature after that point can trigger those seizures in kids.
That's
they
what
can
my
go
oldest
status on. Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Seizures now. Yeah.
Problem is with body temperature, taking an accurate measurement is difficult. And these little things that are pointing at your head are no good. You know that, right? Because if you went by them, everybody'd be hypothermic.
Yeah.
No, I know. See, my temp runs like 96. I'm pushing it if it hits 97. So if I get to 99, I know I'm really fevered at that point. I'm starting to get really fevered, and I don't feel good. It wasn't until I got to 102 I started getting really confused, and I was like, when I was borderline septic when I had my hysterectomy. I had no idea where I was at in the hospital. When I would go to sleep and I wake up, I have no idea where I was at. So, and they would argue with me. Yeah, they would say, "Oh, 99 is fine." Yeah, well, for you maybe. Until they finally noticed, they started paying attention. But my one sister is like that with her temperature and her blood pressure. You know, because she's like sort of anemic, you know. And when she was a kid, she had her appendix erupted. Her appendix erupted, and they didn't diagnose it for almost 24 hours. She almost died on the operating table. And, my mom was giving her Percocets, and it wasn't doing anything, so she went back to the emergency room for the third time and told them, "You better find out what's wrong with my daughter." And, she had a tube in her and everything, and that's right.
It's it was scary.
My youngest brother, his appendix ruptured, and he was septic from it. and he was in the hospital for almost 2 months, and he was only 6. Yeah, it was scary.
Appendix is the great imitator, but the thing is, I've had a kid's appendix rupture without any abdominal pain whatsoever. The only thing is he just started running a fever. We couldn't figure it out. And so,
you know what's funny is how they discovered it was from blood work, because they had done X-rays a couple of times when she was in, and there was nothing there because it was hiding behind her bowels. And they were telling my mother that she was lying. She just didn't want to go to school. It was.
That's true. That's true.
But she almost died on the operating table. It was a really scary time for us, And then my youngest sister, she had double pneumonia. She was in an oxygen tank. An oxygen tent for, I think, 2 weeks. Because what had happened was they had originally misdiagnosed her and let her out of the hospital early. And then when she came back in, she had the double pneumonia. And, but you're talking, over 40 years ago. Things weren't like they are today.
No.
But, the advancement in medicine is
what they did to Bobby.
Yeah.
You know what? At least they didn't do what they did to Bobby. They stuck him in a hyperbaric chamber to decompress him for about a week.
What did he? Oh, he was diving. Oh, when he was in the Navy.
We still use hyperbaric chambers today for wound healing, for diabetic wound healing.
Yep.
Oh. That's weird.
Yeah, no, here's what happened. See, Bobby jumped out of an airplane from about 10,000 feet up right into the ocean. And he went about 100 feet down, and he came up and he had blood, and his blood had oxygen bubbles in it. And then so they had to put him in that hyperbaric chamber and slowly bring him back up to atmospheric pressure because he was all full of the bends. No, I'm just saying I have no idea if that would.
My understanding is that's extremely painful.
It is the bends? Yeah, it is.
Yep.
That's why you can't fly and dive within 24 hours.
Why did you jump out of a plane 1,000 feet above the ocean?
High altitude halo, right?
Yeah, halo.
Halo jump.
Were you supposed to hit ground or a boat or something?
I hope he didn't hit the ground. That would hurt.
No, but he didn't have a parachute?
Yeah.
We wouldn't be here if he
did.
Wait,
yeah,
I'm not military. I don't know if you guys are being serious or pulling my leg, but, to jump 10,000 feet into water without,
I'll let him explain that to you if he wants to.
Maria, it was a joke.
Okay.
But yes, halo jumping, you do wear a parachute. And if it doesn't work, then, you're shit out of luck. You hit that water like a brick wall.
I was about to say the highest Johnny Weissmuller dived off the Brooklyn Bridge. That's not 10,000 feet.
At Fort Campbell, Kentucky,
there's a lake. At least he wasn't a Roman candle.
There's a lake up the road. It's and I cannot think of the next town over to Clarksville to save my life right now. There's a lake, Lake Barkley. If you're active duty, you are not allowed to go cliff diving. This one section of the cliff, all because of some people, shall not be named. But the 50-foot cliff, I jumped off of it. By the time I hit the water, my feet went in first, and then all of a sudden my head and face hit the water before the rest of my body. And I got knocked out.
Oh, my goodness.
My friend jumped after me. He jumped after me and hit the water before I did because he knew what he saw was going to happen. I slipped when I went over, and when I did, it was like, oh, shit, I can't grab anything. And no, really, my chest and my face hit the water flat.
Wouldn't the cannonball have been safer?
No.
Yes.
No.
Why?
No.
At 50 feet?
No, if you're gonna mess up, face slam. That's the best way to do it.
Knock myself out. I knocked the wind out of me so bad. I was sucking in so much water. They had, I don't know how many people jumped in, but they had to drag me. Well, they brought me up to the shore, and let me tell you something. That was the most painful thing. So apparently somebody told, and the MPs would drive by and make sure there was no active duty soldiers there. So, so that was it. You know what? Honestly, I think that's what did it for me. To why I can't even jump off a rock 2 feet into the water. I don't know, but yeah, it was. I worked my way up the 3 levels of the cliff, and maybe I should have stayed at the lower one. But
I used to dive. I used to dive until I got vertigo. Now, you know, I can dive off of like the one that's only a foot or 2 off of the patio, whatever the heck that thing is called. But if you have to climb stairs to get to the diving board, I can't do it.
I refuse.
I can't, and it's sad because I'm not that bad of a diver. The vertigo just messes with me.
Yeah, well, it's all cannonballs from now on.
Yeah, well, that vertigo is probably a result of all the diving you did when you were younger, from all the barrel trauma to your ears, all that ear pressure.
I thought it had something to do with my ear too, because I wasn't diagnosed until like my 40s. But a doctor, I went to a doctor in New York, and I went to a specialist.
Oh my God.
And he said no, it's actually some kind of what the hell did he say it was? He said it had nothing to do with the equilibrium thing. It had some kind of name. I don't remember. I don't care. I very rarely get it. It just makes it difficult for me to go up high places.
So it's not a benign positional vertigo?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he actually recommended this medicine, but the medicine... this medicine, he said, the side effects that he was telling me about were worse than the vertigo, which I get, a couple of times, a year. Like I'll wake up all of a sudden very dizzy. I have to be careful when I sit up. If I sit up too fast and spin, and it's not because of my sleep apnea, because it's not only when asleep. I mean, it's just if I'm laying down reading, and But he told me what it was.
Do you get that when you go in an elevator? Do you get that in an elevator? Do you get that in an elevator?
No, not really. But I don't go in elevators too often, so I don't think no. I get it on an escalator.
Huh. So yours is stimulated visual.
Possibly. I don't remember. I'm not, like I said, I just remember what the doctor said. Personally, I thought it had something to do, because I'm a klutz. So like you, I thought it had something to do with my inner ear. And he said no. He said it was something else.
Sometimes when you change positions real fast, you get what they call orthostatic hypotension. And that also causes, like when you stand up too fast and you get dizzy all of a sudden.
Right.
That's because the blood is actually sucked down out of your brain real fast, and you get dizzy just for a second. That's called orthostatic hypotension. So you're actually getting a low blood pressure, which is causing you to feel dizzy.
Yeah.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, whatever it is, I didn't have it until my 40s, and it actually was kind of funky because when I first realized it, I was laying down and I saw the microorganisms floating around in my eyeballs. I mean, or at least that's what I assumed it was. I mean, I felt like I was
So,
on some
are you
kind of
anemic?
trip. Huh?
Are you anemic? Are you anemic?
No.
And do you smoke?
No, not in forever.
But you did smoke.
And I was, huh?
Yeah, but you did smoke. Do you have varicose veins in your feet and ankles?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't have any varicose veins.
She's just special.
I'm just weird.
Why? Did you have them stripped? You had them laser stripped or removed? What happened?
No, I don't have. No, I've never had varicose veins. My grandmom did, and my sister does, but no, I don't. I have very nice legs and feet.
Look, no, not your legs. Look right below. Look right below the malleolus of your ankle, that little ankle bone on your heel, especially on the inside, and see if you see any little spider veins or any kind of like varicose veins right there.
No, I can barely see the normal veins.
Let alone about.
Yeah, no, I know what varicose veins look like.
Well, prove it. Post a picture of your legs, girl.
Mm-hmm. Hang on. Where the hell's the camera? You just want my inner ankle, right?
Hold on, let me send you my Snapchat address.
Well, what do you allergies?
No, look, right below the medial malleolus, which is a little bone sticking out on your inner part of your leg, and look around the heel area right below there, and look for those little purple veins. They could be spider veins, they could be varicose veins.
Yeah, I know what they are. My sister has them really bad.
Yeah.
So did my grandma. Hold on a minute. But
so
here.
Anyway, I was going to finish up allergies. So yeah, I know. So common things that people are allergic to are like dust mites, pollen, and they do the pollen counts, and you'll notice that during the summer, well, spring and summer, I guess they do it in the fall. I don't know. If you on your weather channel, it'll tell you the air quality, and most of the time they'll tell you what the pollen count is, and if you have certain allergies, you shouldn't go outside. A lot of people are allergic to mold. Black mold. If you have black mold, you need to get rid of it because that's not good. And pet allergies, like I said, it could be the pet dander, it could be the hair or whatever, and roaches.
You know, here,
believe it or not,
here in South Texas, we have these algae blooms they call red tide, and when they blow in, everybody gets like allergic type reactions, burning eyes. They get difficulty breathing, unusual rashes.
Wait, what did you say that was?
It's called the red tide. It's an algae bloom.
Oh, isn't that in the ocean?
Yeah, well, I live right on the ocean and on the Gulf of Mexico, but I wondered if they have that over there on the East Coast too, like South Carolina.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
They
do.
It kills the fish, and it's bad. We thought it was because of all the oil platforms out there in the Gulf. We're trying to blame it on the oil platforms in the Gulf. But yeah, that red algae, that red tide, it's nasty, and that's one of the the thing that affects the air quality. If you have any leaky water in your house, you're guaranteed to have black mold somewhere.
Yeah.
The only way to kill that is with bleach.
Yep.
You spray it down with bleach.
Or get a professional in.
Well, no, just spray. Get one of the. My dad got one of those little the sprayers you put your fertilizer in. So you pump it and you spray it. He used to do a bleach mix, bleach water. Yeah. Yep. He bleached his walls because he was allergic to roaches.
Where it is and how bad it is.
Well, in the old houses that had the copper tubing in them, over the years, copper tubing will oxidize and you'll get little pinhole leaks in them. And they'll be embedded in your walls, and you'll just see mold on the wall. You end up having to tear your walls apart and replace all that copper tubing. But
I'm an insurance agent.
Yeah. Well, not everybody has insurance,
sweetheart.
Yeah.
I'm an insurance agent. I know about this stuff. Like,
Okay, but not everybody. I was gonna say, but not everybody has insurance. Not everybody knows that stuff. So just sharing it with other people.
You're right. I'm agreeing with you. It's a good. People need to know that. Bleach is great, but you really need to keep an eye on it because if you don't get it all, it can come back.
Well, you got to fix the water leak, right?
Right.
Yeah. Or you just, you just replace the sheetrock or whatever, and it could. If you don't fix the problem, it's like a Band-Aid. If you don't fix it, it's going to get worse.
Yep.
That's right.
As far as
when you got sweaty feet, you get fungus in your toes, right?
Oh yes, but I haven't. Yeah, that's nasty. It's painful too.
No,
it can also be black.
You have to be careful when you're spraying bleach on mold because when the bleach hits the mold spores, they spread out into the air.
That's right.
Yes, it can. If they're dry spores,
that's right.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. Always wear an N95 respirator mask. Whatever the ones that, and it's important. Yeah.
No, don the Mark 5. Don the Mark 5.
A lot of the food allergies that people have, a lot of the cow's milk, between 2 and 3% of younger children are allergic to the proteins in cow's milk. Eggs is another food allergy, fish and shellfish, peanuts and tree nuts. Some kids are even allergic to soy. Like all 3 of my kids could not have the regular Enfamil baby formula. They all had to have the soy Isomil because they could not take any of the other high iron formulas. And then, of course, your wheat, barley, rye, all that cool crap. Now, there is another allergy that they don't have on here. Is red dye number 40 is a pain in the ass because it's in pretty much everything that you have. Cereal, medicine, candy. And we found out my son was allergic to red dye 40 when he came home from kindergarten and Valentine's Day. Everything is red. And his whole body swelled up and blisters. And not a rash, but blisters everywhere. And so we had to literally stop giving him red dye.
Watch for cars.
Yeah, cotton candy. Cotton candy. My grandson, his whole face swelled up from that stuff.
Now, he's not allergic to it angemore, but he also went 15 years without red dye, and I don't know what it was. It could have just been a fluke thing or whatever, but he was able to desensitize his body to it, and now it doesn't bother him. But the poor thing, he couldn't breathe. He'd have an asthma attack, and the blisters would be so bad. They were everywhere on him. So, but red dye number 40 is not really good anyway. It's not a really good dye.
Yeah, my oldest nephew who has Down syndrome, my sister, when he was young, she was very particular about what he ate. And the red dye 40, and I think there's another one too. But he didn't have any of that crap, and therefore the other kids didn't get it either. So no high fructose corn syrup.
The interesting thing a lot of people don't realize is they can go to their primary doctor, and they can have a blood test, and they can also have skin tests done to find out what they may or may not be allergic to. And finding out what you may or may not be allergic to can improve your quality of life by learning how to avoid those things. Yep.
Yeah, my sister did that too for the kids when they were about 12 or 13. There was some company, and the whole family did it. They sent their hair samples or whatever it is into the company, and they came back with a list of the things that they were allergic to, they should not have, and it was very interesting.
The skin tests are a pain.
just FYI, every 3 to 5 years you need to be retested because it changes, especially after puberty. If you get tested before puberty, you can be allergic to everything on the planet because your immune system hasn't developed yet. After puberty, some of those hormones have changed, and some of those hormones have antihistamine properties too. So you have a better immune system at that point. And then,
that's probably why
as you age, yeah, as you age, your immune system gets stronger and stronger until a point where it stagnates. So every 3 to 5 years, retest yourself, because what you may be allergic to at one point in life, you may not be allergic to at another point in life. But be wary of the anaphylactic allergies, the peanut allergies, the iodine allergies, the fish allergies. You know, those medication allergies, those anaphylactic allergies are the ones you need to be concerned of. Most of the allergies you guys are talking about are runny nose, sneezing, maybe hyperreactive airway, which may trigger asthma. But the ones that are going to cause your tongue to swell and your bronchioles to enlarge and produce fluid, those are the ones you need to be really concerned about. So these other allergens, most of them you can be desensitized to. People with penicillin allergies, we've desensitized patients to penicillin when they were anaphylactic towards it, just so we can treat them with it when we needed to for whatever reason. If that was the only thing that would work, we'd have to desensitize. So so most of the allergies you guys are talking about, the worst allergy I've come across in my practice, and every time a kid comes in and tells me they're allergic to peanuts, they get an EpiPen, whether they've had a reaction or not. Peanuts are one of the worst ones that I've had to deal with because it'll kill you.
Yep.
What about
you
shellfish?
can even come in contact, but you can even come in contact with somebody else who eats peanuts, even the dust on the peanuts itself or whatever, the peanut oil, and you touch it, and if you're allergic to it, it can kill you. My uncle,
I've heard that.
My uncle was on the police force. He was retired in Miami, and he used to go eat lunch with this one kid because this poor child was allergic to peanuts and the milk, and I mean he put him in a bubble.
Sounds like
he
Stephanie.
had to sit separate. Huh?
Sounds like Stephanie.
So my uncle would go and have lunch with him in his uniform because the kid loved it, and he would go have lunch with him every single day, because he had to sit by himself because of all of the other shit the kids could bring. So the peanut allergies are very severe.
Yeah, I know.
My
nephew's school, they have a whole section that's for children with allergies. And they're actually not even allowed to bring peanut butter sandwiches to school or anything like that anymore.
Yeah, they did tell you. They wrote it. They say no peanuts, no peanut products, nothing is allowed to be brought to school.
Now, taking all that into consideration, you also need to consider those who are immune compromised, because their responses to allergens are going to be reduced as well, and they can develop allergies out of the blue. I'm not just talking about people with HIV. Somebody with any sort of organ transplant is going to be on immunosuppressants, so their body doesn't use the organ. Also talking about people who are taking long-term steroids. Like, for example, real bad bronchitis, chronic bronchitis, real bad asthmatics are going to be on steroids, and those steroids will reduce your immune system too. So, there's a lot of people who have compromised immune systems, and some may not even realize it, and all of a sudden start developing allergies, and they're like, I've never had allergies before, but things change over time.
Would cystic
that's the key point.
fibrosis be in that same category?
Cystic fibrosis is a lack of surfactant in the lungs, and it causes a buildup in the lungs. You test it with a sweat chloride test from the palms, and most people don't live beyond 25, 30 years old with cystic fibrosis.
Really?
But I mean, would they be, like you're saying, the ones that are immunocompromised and stuff like lupus and to get a lot of allergies?
Well, it may be the treatment that they're treating for it that can cause that. Lupus is definitely an autoimmune, so they're definitely immune compromised. Yeah, lupus definitely. Some people with rheumatoid arthritis will also have a positive ANA but not have lupus. ANA is an anti-nuclear antibody, which suggests that you have an autoimmune condition. So anybody with an autoimmune, what I'm saying is your body immune system doesn't recognize something in your body, even though it's supposed to be there, and it treats it as if it's not supposed to be there, and it attacks it. For some people, it'll attack your skin. For other people, it'll attack your lungs. It may attack your blood cells. The white blood cells is your immune system, but it may attack your red blood cells because it doesn't recognize it, because that's why they call it autoimmune. Your immune system is fighting itself.
Yeah.
Strange. It's really strange. It really is. And you can be normal and then 10 years later have an autoimmune condition. You can develop lupus.
Yep.
Really?
The same thing with me is celiac. I didn't have this issue. And the thing is, what's really weird is pretty much everybody on my mom's side of the family is lactose intolerant. When I mean everybody, I mean every single person in my family cannot have lactose. And we all get.
But you know what's fascinating about that too, Colonel? What's fascinating about that?
What?
If you follow how an infant will develop, at 6 months old, that baby or that infant, its gastrointestinal system is fully developed, and they can digest just about everything except for pasteurized cow's milk. You're not supposed to give babies cow's milk until they're 1 year old, because it can cause spontaneous bleeding in the GI tract. And there's a lot of issues. There's a lot of issues with milk. I have a lot of these immigrant kids crossing the border, and 90% of them cannot tolerate the pasteurized cow's milk. Now, in their home country, they'll drink cow's milk that's been boiled on the stove and not have any problem with it. So something with the pasteurizing process in the U.S. affects people. I don't think it's the milk.
So pasteurization, not the milk necessarily.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's lactose or it's something in the milk. Now, the other thing is a lot of my kids, they're also drinking other forms of milk, like goat's milk or lamb's milk, but so they're not even used to the cow's milk. So they come over here and they develop really bad gastritis from it. But I was fascinated that you're not supposed to give babies pasteurized cow's milk until they're 1 year old, even though at 6 months old,
I've never heard
technically they can digest anything because they have a fully developed GI system. I was like, wow.
And the other thing that you're not allowed to give children under 1, and I did not know this until
honey.
Whatever. Honey.
Honey.
Me do it.
Yeah.
No, I was just looking it up as to why.
Why?
Because it has a certain type of bacteria, Clostridium. It has a potential to lurk inside, known for thriving in dust and soil. And it has the power to contaminate honey, or the Clostridium.
Oh.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Why does Clostridium sound so familiar?
Huh?
Why is
I don't know.
Clostridium
It does.
sound
Why?
All right, so have you ever taken an antibiotic? You ever taken antibiotic and got a real bad diarrhea?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, sounds like sounds like C. diff.
C. diff. Yeah, it's Clostridium difficile. Right.
Ah.
And
something.
Go ahead.
It can kill you. No, it can kill you. Not the C. diff. You can literally have diarrhea to the point where you could dehydrate and die from the dehydration. Yes. And when someone has a little diarrhea, it never kills you.
Isn't that what kills people that get Ebola? It's the diarrhea, the dehydration?
That's correct. It's a dehydration.
What?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's not the diarrhea itself.
But not with Ebola. With Ebola, though, you develop a hemolytic anemia and you'll start bleeding out your eyeballs. Although that's the other problem.
Yeah.
But most people who get treatment immediately are fine. Right?
There's the one.
Well,
there's the one.
Hold on.
Ebola.
There's another. I'm not done with the Clostridium.
Okay.
You ladies like going to get Botox? Where do you think that comes from?
Nope.
Clostridium botulinum.
Yeah, Botox is nasty.
Yep.
They ain't putting that shit in me. I don't understand why people want to have shit like that put in their bodies. Beauty just ain't worth it.
Nope. The one that you were talking about, the Ebola. Hold on, I'll tell you which one it is. There's 4 different ones. I think it's 4. Hold on, let me find it. There's the Ebola virus, the Sudan virus, the Reston virus, forest virus, and the Bundu. Yeah, well, I can't even pronounce that. That's the ones, the different types. Let me see which is the worst. I think it's the Sudan one. It's a 30% mortality rate. Oh no, my bad.
Oh wow.
53% mortality rate.
That's high.
Yeah. Yeah.
You wanna know another
and the
bad
Zaire
Clostridium?
one.
Yeah.
Huh?
Giving
the,
honey to baby. Clostridium.
Yeah.
How about tetanus? You think about that? So you can get tetanus. You can get C. diff, and you can get botulism. Botulism, they call it, I guess. So that's the main thing is the botulism. Why? Because the botulism toxin causes paralysis to the nerves, and it lasts for about 3 months. And your baby can end up on a ventilator for 3 months if it lives. So yeah, honey.
True.
Don't give your babies honey.
Also, C. diff is not just a child issue. A lot of nursing homes end up with C. diff. A lot. And you have to sterilize their room. You have to keep them quarantined to their room. They can't, it's bad. But it's also because if you're on antibiotics, one right after another, you can end up with C. diff.
Yeah, C. diff. That's bad with antibiotic induced. But more nursing homes, I'm more concerned about Pseudomonas in the nursing homes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a lot of Pseudomonas in the nursing. There's a lot of staff in the nursing homes. C. diff
we
is
got 90 seconds left.
You beat me to it, Bobby.
Hey,
love you. Tell you that.
Love you guys. Thank you for letting me share.
On Telegram.
Thank you.
Love y'all.
On where?
Thank you for
Telegram in our room.
Oh, I got to get in your room. I didn't know you guys had a room. I'm just on a phone. Last time I tried to get on, it said it wasn't available, like through the, I don't know, the video chat thing. I'll talk to you about it, Bobby. God bless you guys.
Good night. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Love y'all. Have a great night. God bless everybody.
Yep. Informative show as usual. Night.
Good night.